Hey guys, it's the Fluffy Printer. So, when I'm in one of my groups on Facebook, there were some people looking for some help on how to do vases in our Orca Flash Forge or our Orca Flash Studio. Understand that what I use Orca Flash Forge. Now, this will still translate over to Flash Studio. So, if you're using Flash Studio, good on you. If you're using Flash Forge, good on you. But either way, it'll still translate. So, let's begin. And again, I'm the Fluffy Printer. I'm still also a novice at 3D printing. I have a FlashForge AD5X multicolor printer. So let's go ahead and bring up our FlashForge program. Again, this is the Orca FlashForge. And again, this will still translate over to Flash Print. All right. Now you see I have two vases here. One's completely hollow. One is completely solid. And people are trying to figure out how to make this hollow, even though it's a complete solid here. Well, this is where Vase Mode comes in handy. In Vase Mode, it's kind of really weird, but in Vase Mode, you're mainly working with one wall. And because you're working with one wall, it can be very, very weak, and it cannot be watertight if you're trying to use it for an actual vase. But I'll show you through the steps on how to do it for one wall setup. That way we don't have any problems. We can go through it. Now, you see I have two plates. I'm only going to be working on plate 1 because this is the one that is solid. There's an options button over here on our plate. You see these two lines with the two squares on it? This is where we can customize our current plate. Once we click on that, you're going to see all of here. So we can change the plate name. We already know the bed type, the print sequence, spiral vase. This is where your Vase Mode comes into play. Your first layer filament and your other layer filament sequence. We don't have to worry about those unless we're doing a multicolor right now, but we're not doing a multicolor. We're only doing one single color. All right. So we got spiral vase. When we click on this, we do enable. We hit OK. We'll come up with all of this right here. Understand that spiral mode only works when the wall loops is 1, not 2, 1. Your top shell layers, which is the very top print right here, is 0. So you're not going to have any layers on the top of it. And your infill is also 0. And the time-lapse type is usually traditional. So if you're using a camera to help take pictures of this, is still going to show the same. We can change these settings automatically. You say yes, these settings change these settings and enable spiral Vase Mode automatically, and you say no, it'll cancel it and you'll stop it. So we're going to go ahead and say yes. Now, here's the thing. It may show only that. So what I'm going to do, because if you notice right here, layer height, if you go to strength, it'll still show 2 wall loops, but yet it's weird nothing is showing here. Like slice, that's all right. I just got done fishing, so I'm making this video. As you see, it's already done and set up here. You don't have to worry about doing anything. All you do is hit the Vase Mode and off it goes. But understand with Vase Mode, these are very thin walls. Now you can change the thickness of those walls. All right. And that's by going through the quality. And it would be your outer wall. So let's say, for instance, I want to do a 0.75 instead. You do slice your plate. These walls will be a little thicker than what they originally were shown. But understand that with thickness, it still can be problematic. So when we do our Vase Modes, it's usually not an ideal to use Vase Mode for vases. Because if we're trying to use it to hold water, what you want is more of this print. One that's already been set up, and it's already hollow here for you. But this one is where you can change everything to make it better and actually make it to where it can hold water. And that's going through our strength. So I'm going to change the quality. I'm going to get rid of that and go back to normal. On strength here, wall loops is what determines how much we want to go. And I'm actually going to do it at 4 wall loops. At 4 wall loops, you can actually have it where you want and keep the water in there. Same thing as the bottom shell layers. Increase the layers by two. That way it stays there and you can actually get water to stay inside, and there is not going to have any issues. This right here, your sparse fill density, you can change it down to whatever you want. So if you want to change it down to 5%, change it down to 5%. I don't like the grid because it does have a habit of hitting, and if it hits, your whole thing will flop over. So when I stick on Gyroid, it just creates these wiggle lines and it works better. You still have your speed set up, so make sure you have your proper speeds. I did have another video previous back to explain on how to change our speeds. You have your supports, so if it needs supports, I do have a video also further back that explains about whether you need to or whether you don't need to on supports. Sometimes using your better judgment will give you a lot better to figure out if you need supports. Here, I've already done a single like this. It doesn't need supports, so I don't need to worry about it. And if you're doing multicolor, you know, your multi-material setup, your others for your brims and all your displacements, and then your quality and how we want to have our quality set up. You can have your seam position aligned. You can have your stagger inseams. One thing I need to mention about helping make this more water resistant or waterproof to keep holding the water in, you need to change the inner and outer wall diameters. So this right here, we can change it to 0.6. And this one, we're going to change it to 0.5. That way they're just a little thicker than what they should normally be. And with them being thicker, that'll actually help hold the water into the vase that we want. And the speed, you know, I'm going to quickly set it up here for myself, because with this, we want to go a little slower than we normally would. That way the layers have time to properly adhere and be able to get that adhesion to keep the water in. So the outer wall and the inner wall, I'm going to keep those at 75. The sparse infill, we're fine. I'm going to usually do 200. Solid internal fill, because this is where it's going to be, you know, the solid portions. You know, keep it at 75. The top surface also keep it at 75. The gap infill, we can keep that at the 200, or we're fine right there. When we click on others, again, this is for our brim. If we want to have it ourselves as a fuzzy setup, you know what, it would actually be kind of fun if we did a fuzzy on this. That way it can help hide the seams. Let's go ahead and do a contour. Let's go ahead and keep it as displacement, and let's do a purlin. And once we do this, I'm just going to leave all of this alone. I'm going to hit the slice, and now it's doing its thing. And, you know, my computer does try to keep up with the video and the slicing at the same time, but you got to understand that when you're slicing, it does take up a lot of your computer RAM to do this, which is why you're seeing my video here go in and out, and it looks like I'm having issues with my ping or things like that. And, you know, I'm doing this off a laptop. I don't exactly have the best setup, but it works for what I need to do. And we are done. Now, if you notice, now it's going to take 10 hours and 51 minutes, which honestly, it doesn't bother me, because if I want a good vase, I want it to really take its time. And then it'll just do its own thing. It's creating its own fuzzy skin. Most of the time comes because of the fuzzy skin. All right. If I were to get rid of the fuzzy skin, say none, so 10 hours and 51 minutes, we will now have, just waiting for that to get done. And it is just about done with the layers. Now it's gone down to 10 hours, 8 minutes. And that's because of the amount of wall loops and the speed that we have. So, and honestly, it doesn't bother me with where the seams are. That's where these little white lines is. That's the seam. And that really doesn't bother me any. If you're a perfectionist, hey, that's okay. That's how you want to do it. That's fine. It doesn't bother me any, because it also doesn't bother anybody that I make these prints for. Now, if we go back to here, this is the one that we had the single wall loops. And if I keep the speed under objects right here, I change the speed right here. You do not want to go fast with this. The slower you go, the better it will be. So keeping everything at 75, no matter what, you need to be able for it to properly adhere. So the slower it goes, the more time it has to cool down for each layer, the more better chances it'll have to adhere. And whole 9 yards. As you see, I haven't changed anything else here. See, even the first layer. I'm going to change this down to 75. As you see, this is the printing acceleration for the first layer. Using limited acceleration can improve the plate adhesion. Okay, including the top surface. It's going to help change everything, and which is what's great. You slow everything. You slow these down. You're going to start seeing everything working great. Now, once I hit this, time-wise, don't worry about it. It's going to be like it's 5 times faster than the other one because it's only got one wall. But again, this isn't really going to hold water well unless you go through and start changing your strengths and your quality. So if you want it to try to help hold water, it's already been set up this way to try to do it. You see it's already got wall loops, so it's already set up here. It's on its own separate things. You know, as far as it's all there. And then the others, this is where you saw where everything was changed. And we don't need to worry about changing anything there. Once you have everything set, if you like this the way it is, you go to your print plate, you choose your color. Right now, my printer's not on. I'm not doing any printing today. I've been out of the house trying to do my own thing. But remember, you got to choose your color, make sure it's properly set up on your printer. And that's really about it. This is Vase Mode. It's great to use if you just want to use thin walls, but if you want something that's going to look good, aesthetic, and help hold water, go with this. Go with the one that's hollow already set up. I'm going to go ahead and go back to global. I'm going to change the strength down to 3, because if I change this to 3 walls instead of being the 10 hours it was, it's probably going to drop it down to roughly, I want to say, about 8. I mean, this is just a guess. Yes, I know I don't do all of this scripted. Everything is way off. But I'd rather prefer doing it that way because it makes me feel more human. I'm not running off of a script. I'm not trying to do anything here. I'm actually trying to, be like you. Be just like you, trying to keep everything going. Oop. See? Nope, 7.5 hours. And that was only 3 wall loops. And 3 wall loops will actually be just fine even with 3 wall loops. I mean, 4 is just a stage of precaution, but 3 is the minimum for making this work the way you want it to work. But as you see, there's no brim, don't need any support. But this one will be so much better to work with than doing a single wall base. So, hopefully this helps. Again, I'm the Fluffy Printer, and I'll see you guys in the next video.